The invitation arrived like a dagger wrapped in silk, its embossed gold lettering gleaming with malice. Elena Harper, 28, stood in her modest Boston apartment, clutching the cream envelope, her heart pounding as she read her sister's name, Claire Harper, CEO of Harper Enterprises, etched above the words, "You are cordially invited to the wedding of the year." She knew this was no gesture of reconciliation. It was a trap, a public stage for Claire to wield her power and shame Elena for who she loved. For years, Claire had wielded her success like a weapon, her skyscraper office in Manhattan, a testament to her ambition and her disdain for Elena's choices. Growing up in their conservative Connecticut hometown, Elena had always been the dreamer, the artist, the one who painted murals on their bedroom walls while Claire memorized stock market trends. Their parents' approval had always tilted toward Claire, the golden child, leaving Elena to carve her own path. When Elena came out at 20, Claire's reaction was a cold, cutting remark. "You're throwing your life away." The sisters hadn't spoken since, not until this invitation arrived, its subtext screaming, "Come so I can remind everyone you're the family failure." But Elena wasn't alone anymore. She glanced at Maya, her partner of 2 years, who leaned against the kitchen counter, her dark eyes scanning Elena's face with quiet intensity. Maya, 30, was a former Marine turned personal trainer, her strength not just in her sculpted arms but in the way she anchored Elena through every storm. "You don't have to go," Maya said, her voice low but firm. "She doesn't get to hurt you again." Elena's fingers tightened around the invitation. "She expects me to cower, to show up alone and let her parade me as the outcast. But I'm not that scared girl anymore." She met Maya's gaze, a spark igniting in her chest. "I want to go. And I want you with me." Maya's lips curved into a slow, fierce smile. "Then we'll show her what family really looks like." The wedding was set for a sprawling estate in the Hamptons, a place dripping with wealth and pretense. Elena and Maya spent weeks preparing, not just their outfits but their resolve. Elena chose a tailored navy blazer and cream blouse, a blend of elegance and defiance, while Maya opted for a burgundy dress that clung to her frame, turning heads with every step. They knew the whispers would follow. Claire's high society guests were not known for their open minds, but they were ready. The drive from Boston to the Hamptons was a 6-hour test of nerves. Elena's hands gripped the steering wheel, her mind replaying childhood memories. Claire's taunts, their mother's silence, the suffocating weight of being the wrong daughter. Maya's hand rested on her thigh, a steady reminder of the present. "You're not walking into her world alone," Maya said. "We're a team." As they pulled into the estate, the grandeur hit like a wave. Manicured lawns, a string quartet, and guests in designer gowns sipping champagne under chandeliers. Elena's heart raced, but Maya's hand in hers was an anchor. They stepped out of the car, and the air shifted. Eyes turned, murmurs rippled. Elena felt the weight of judgment but also the fire of her own truth. Claire was impossible to miss, commanding the center of the lawn in a white gown that screamed perfection. Her blonde hair was swept into an elegant updo, her smile polished but sharp. When she spotted Elena, her eyes narrowed, a flicker of surprise crossing her face at the sight of Maya. "Elena," Claire said, her voice saccharine, "I didn't think you'd come. And you brought a friend." "This is Maya, my partner," Elena said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Maya's grip tightened, a silent vow. Claire's smile didn't waver, but her eyes gleamed with something cruel. "How progressive of you," she said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "I hope you enjoy the evening. It's quite the spectacle." The words landed like a slap, but Elena held her head high. She and Maya moved through the crowd, their hands clasped, their presence a quiet rebellion. Guests whispered, some with curiosity, others with disdain. Elena caught fragments of conversation: the sister, lesbian, scandal, but Maya's steady presence kept her grounded. They found their assigned table, tucked in a corner far from the main action, a deliberate slight. Yet, as they sat, Maya leaned in, her breath warm against Elena's ear. "Let them stare. We're here, and we're not hiding." The evening unfolded like a chess game, each move calculated. Claire made a point of introducing Elena to old family friends, her tone dripping with faux warmth as she mentioned Elena's lifestyle. Elena felt the sting but refused to flinch. Instead, she shared stories of her art, her community work, Her life with Maya, each word a reclaiming of her narrative. Maya, ever the protector, deflected barbs with sharp wit, her confidence disarming even the most judgmental guests. As the night wore on, the tension built. Claire's toasts were laced with subtle digs, her laughter too loud, her glances too pointed. Elena knew the worst was yet to come. Claire had always saved her sharpest blows for the spotlight. The reception was nearing its peak, and Elena braced herself for the moment Claire would try to dismantle her in front of everyone. But something shifted. A guest, an older woman with kind eyes, approached their table. "You're Elena the artist, right?" she asked. "I saw your mural at the community center. It's stunning." Elena blinked, caught off guard. The woman smiled at Maya. "And you must be her muse. You two make a beautiful couple." For the first time that night, Elena felt a crack in the wall of judgment. She glanced at Maya, whose eyes softened with pride. Maybe, just maybe, they could rewrite the story Claire had scripted for them. The music swelled as the reception transitioned to the dance floor. A sea of glittering gowns and tailored suits swaying under twinkling lights. Elena and Maya sat at their corner table, the weight of Claire's orchestrated slight still lingering. Yet the older woman's kind words had planted a seed of hope in Elena's heart, a reminder that not everyone here was an enemy. Claire, however, was far from done. As the band paused, she took the microphone, her voice cutting through the chatter like a blade. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her smile radiant but her eyes locked on Elena. "I want to thank you all for celebrating this moment with us. Family means everything, doesn't it? Even when we don't always understand each other's choices." The crowd murmured in agreement, oblivious to the venom in her words. Elena's stomach churned, her fingers tightening around her glass. Maya leaned closer, her voice a fierce whisper. "She's baiting you. Don't give her the satisfaction." Elena nodded, but the hurt was raw. She remembered summers at their family lake house, when Claire would race her to the dock, their laughter echoing. How had they become this sisters turned strangers, one wielding power like a weapon? Claire's speech continued, each word a calculated jab, painting Elena as the wayward sibling who'd strayed from the Harper legacy. The guests listened, some nodding, others glancing at Elena with pity or judgment. Then came the moment Claire had clearly been building toward. "I'd like to invite my sister Elena to say a few words," Claire announced, her tone dripping with false warmth. "After all, this is a family occasion and I'm sure she has something to share." The room turned to Elena, a spotlight of expectation pinning her in place. Her heart pounded, her palms clammy. This was it, Claire's checkmate. A chance to force Elena to falter in front of everyone. She could feel the weight of every stare, the silent question. What will the black sheep do now? Maya's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. "You don't have to do this," she murmured. "But if you do, I'm right here." Elena took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. She stood, smoothing her blazer, and walked to the microphone, each step a defiance of the fear clawing at her. The crowd hushed, waiting. Claire's smile was smug, certain of her victory. "Thank you, Claire," Elena began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "I'm honored to be here, not just as your sister, but as myself, Elena Harper, artist, dreamer, and someone who's learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who stand by you, who see you, who love you for who you are." She paused, her eyes finding Maya's, drawing strength from the quiet pride in her partner's gaze. "I brought someone special with me tonight, me partner, Maya. She's my home, my strength, and the reason I'm standing here unafraid. Love isn't a choice to be judged. It's a gift to be cherished. And I'm grateful every day for the love we share." A murmur rippled through the crowd, some shocked, others intrigued. Elena pressed on, her voice growing stronger. "Claire, you invited me here, and I came not to prove myself to you, but to show you that I'm proud of who I am. I hope one day you'll see that love doesn't diminish a family. It expands it." The room was silent for a heartbeat, then a few guests clapped, tentative at first, then louder. The older woman from earlier beamed, her applause ringing out. Claire's smile faltered, her eyes flashing with something unreadable, anger, perhaps, or a flicker of doubt. Elena returned to her seat, her legs trembling but her heart soaring. Maya pulled her close, whispering, "You were incredible." They shared a quiet smile, the world fading around them. For the first time, Elena felt like she claimed her place, Not just at this wedding but in her own story. But Claire wasn't one to concede defeat. As the dancing resumed, she approached their table, her groom, a polished man named Richard, trailing behind. "That was bold, Elena," Claire said, her voice low. "But don't think a speech changes anything. This is my day, and you're still the same disappointment you've always been." Maya stood, her height and presence commanding. "You don't get to define her," she said, her tone calm but edged with steel. "Elena's more than you'll ever give her credit for. And if you can't see that, it's your loss." Richard shifted uncomfortably, but Claire's eyes narrowed. "Enjoy your moment," she hissed. "It won't last." She turned on her heel, leaving a chill in her wake. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of dances and conversations. Some guests avoided Elena and Maya, but others approached, curious or supportive. A young man, a cousin Elena hadn't seen in years, hugged her tightly. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "I wish I had your courage." His words were a balm, a reminder that Claire's world wasn't the only one that mattered. As the night wound down, Elena and Maya slipped outside, finding solace under the stars. The estate's gardens were quiet, the air crisp with autumn. They sat on a stone bench, Maya's arm around Elena's shoulders. "You okay?" Maya asked. Elena nodded, leaning into her. "I thought I needed to prove something to her. But tonight I realized I only needed to prove it to myself. I'm enough, Maya. We're enough." Maya kissed her forehead, her lips soft and warm. "More than enough." The morning after the wedding, the estate buzzed with the aftermath of Claire's grand affair. Guests lingered over brunch, their conversations a mix of admiration for the event and whispers about Elena's speech. Elena and Maya had stayed overnight in a guest cottage, a small reprieve from the tension of the main house. As they packed to leave, Elena felt a strange mix of relief and unease. She'd stood her ground, but Claire's parting words echoed in her mind. "It won't last." Maya sensed her mood, her hand brushing Elena's as they loaded their bags into the car. "You shook her world last night," she said, her voice warm. "She's not used to losing control." Elena managed a small smile. "I just wish it didn't have to be a fight. She's my sister, Maya. Part of me still hopes." Maya nodded, understanding the unspoken wish for reconciliation. "Give it time. You planted a seed. It's up to her to let it grow." Their drive back to Boston was quieter, the weight of the weekend settling in. Elena's phone buzzed with messages, some from friends cheering her courage, others from distant relatives expressing discomfort. One message stood out from their cousin James. "You were amazing last night. I'm sorry I never stood up for you before. Can we talk soon?" Elena's heart lifted slightly. Maybe change was possible even in small ways. Back in Boston, life resumed its rhythm. Elena returned to her art studio, where she taught classes to local kids, her murals a splash of color in their gray neighborhood. Maya went back to her gym, training clients with her usual intensity. But the wedding had left its mark. Elena found herself painting with new urgency, her canvases filled with bold strokes of defiance and love. Maya noticed, framing one of Elena's pieces, a vibrant depiction of two figures holding hands under a stormy sky and hanging it in their living room. Weeks passed and Claire's silence was deafening. Elena tried to focus on her work, but the absence of her sister gnawed at her. She wondered if her speech had only widened the chasm between them. Then one evening a package arrived at their apartment. Inside was a note in Claire's precise handwriting. "I didn't expect you to surprise me. This isn't an apology, but it's a start." Enclosed was a small, framed photo from their childhood, Elena and Claire, laughing on that lake house dock, their faces free of the bitterness that now divided them. Elena stared at the photo, tears pricking her eyes. "She kept this," she whispered. Maya wrapped her arms around her, her presence a steady comfort. "What does it mean?" Elena asked. "It means she's thinking about you," Maya said. "Maybe not the way you want yet, but it's something." The photo became a quiet fixture on their mantel, a reminder of what was and what might still be. Elena began to write to Claire, not expecting a response but needing to try. Her letters were short, filled with memories of their childhood and hopes for a future where they could be sisters again. She mailed them to Claire's office, unsure if they'd be read or discarded. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of the wedding continued. James reached out, inviting Elena and Maya to dinner. Over plates of pasta in a cozy Cambridge restaurant, he shared his own struggles with their family's expectations. "I've been too scared to be myself," he admitted, his eyes downcast. "Seeing you too. It gave me hope." Elena squeezed Maya's hand under the table, her heart swelling. Their presence at the wedding hadn't just been about defying Claire. It had touched others too. They began to hear from more people, friends, acquaintances, even strangers who'd heard about the speech through social media. Elena's art gained attention, her story resonating with those who felt like outsiders in their own families. But Claire's shadow loomed. A month after the wedding, Elena received an email from one of Claire's assistants, requesting a meeting in New York. The message was formal, devoid of warmth, but it was a summons. Elena's first instinct was to refuse, but Maya encouraged her. "You've already faced her once. You can do it again. And I'll be there if you need me." The meeting was set at Harper Enterprises' sleek Manhattan headquarters. Elena arrived alone, her nerves jangling as she stepped into the glass-walled boardroom. Claire sat at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. "You made quite an impression," she said, her tone neutral. "People haven't stopped talking about you." Elena braced herself, expecting a lecture. But Claire leaned forward, her voice softer. "I didn't expect you to be so strong. I thought I could control the narrative, but you changed it." Elena swallowed, her throat tight. "I didn't come to your wedding to fight you, Claire. I came to show you I'm not ashamed of who I am." Claire's eyes flickered with something, regret, perhaps, or vulnerability. "I don't understand your life, Elena. But that photo, it reminded me of when things were simpler. I don't know if I can be what you want, but I'm trying to understand." It wasn't an apology, but it was a crack in Claire's armor. Elena felt a surge of hope, tempered by caution. "I just want my sister back," she said quietly. "Not the CEO. Not the perfect daughter, just you." Claire nodded, her lips pressed tight. "Let's start small. Dinner, maybe. Just us." Elena left the meeting with a fragile sense of possibility. She called Maya from the street, her voice trembling with emotion. "She didn't shut me out," she said. "It's not everything, but it's a start." Maya's laughter was warm through the phone. "You're unstoppable, Elena Harper. And I'm so damn proud of you." The dinner with Claire was set for a quiet Italian restaurant in Greenwich Village, a neutral ground far from the corporate sheen of Harper Enterprises. Elena arrived early, her nerves a tangle of hope and fear. She wore a simple green dress, her hair loose, wanting to feel like herself, not a warrior in a blazer. Maya had kissed her goodbye, whispering, "You've got this. And I'm just a call away." Claire arrived precisely on time, her tailored coat and sharp heels a stark contrast to the restaurant's cozy ambience. She looked out of place, almost vulnerable, without her usual armor of boardroom confidence. They sat, ordered wine, and faced each other across a candlelit table, the silence heavy with years of unspoken words. "I read your letters," Claire began, her voice low. "They surprised me. I didn't think you'd still want to reach out after everything." Elena's heart skipped. "You're my sister, Claire. I never stopped wanting you in my life, even when it hurt." Claire looked down, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "I've spent years building this perfect image CEO wife success story. Thought you were unraveling that. I invited you to the wedding to prove I was in control. But you showed up with Maya and you were so unapologetic. It threw me." Elena leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. "I wasn't there to challenge you. I was there to be seen, to show you that my love for Maya doesn't make me less. It makes me whole." Claire's eyes met hers, searching. "I don't understand it, Elena. I was raised to see things one way, our parents, our town, our world. But that photo, it reminded me of you, the real you. The sister who painted stars on my ceiling when I was scared of the dark." Tears stung Elena's eyes. "I missed that version of us. But I'm not that girl anymore, and neither are you. We can't go back, but maybe we can build something new." The conversation wasn't easy. Claire admitted her discomfort, her struggle to reconcile her beliefs with Elena's truth. Elena shared her pain, the years of feeling like the family's failure. But as the night wore on, they laughed over old memories, sneaking cookies from the kitchen, racing bikes down their street. It wasn't reconciliation, not yet, But it was a bridge, fragile but real. Back in Boston, Elena and Maya's life grew richer. Elena's art classes expanded, her murals drawing attention from local galleries. Maya started a program at her gym for queer youth, offering free training to kids who needed a safe space. Their apartment became a hub for friends, a place where love and acceptance were the only rules. The photo from Claire remained on the mantel, a quiet symbol of hope. But the past wasn't done with them. A tabloid article surfaced, a gossipy piece about Claire's wedding that painted Elena as the rebellious sister who'd stolen the spotlight. The article quoted anonymous guests, some cruel, others admiring. Elena felt exposed, her moment of courage twisted into scandal. She worried it would undo the fragile progress with Claire. When she called Claire, expecting anger, her sister's response surprised her. "I saw the article," Claire said, her voice tight. "It's trash. I'm handling it." "Handling it?" Elena asked, confused. "I've got lawyers. They'll make sure this doesn't happen again." "You don't deserve that, Elena." The call was brief, but it was another crack in Claire's defenses. Elena hung up, her heart lighter. She told Maya, who grinned, "Your sister's got a heart under all that ice. You're getting through to her." Months passed, and the sisters' relationship grew in small, tentative steps. Claire visited Boston once, meeting Maya formally over coffee. It was awkward. Claire's polished demeanor clashed with Maya's blunt warmth, but they found common ground in stories of Elena's stubbornness. Claire even laughed, a sound Elena hadn't heard in years. Elena's art career blossomed, her work featured in a New York gallery. At the opening, she spotted Claire in the crowd, standing alone, studying a painting of two women dancing under a starry sky. Elena approached, her heart pounding. "You came," she said. Claire turned, her expression soft. "I wanted to see what you've built. It's beautiful, Elena. I'm proud of you." The words hit like a wave, washing away years of doubt. Elena hugged her sister, tears spilling over. Claire stiffened at first, then relaxed, her arms wrapping around Elena. It was a moment of healing, not perfect but profound. As the gallery event wound down, Maya joined them, her presence grounding Elena. Claire nodded at her, a silent acknowledgement. "You two take care of each other," she said, her voice quiet. "That's what matters." Elena and Maya left the gallery hand in hand, the city lights stretching out before them. The journey with Claire wasn't over. There were still walls to dismantle, conversations to have, but for the first time, Elena felt like they were on the same path. A year after the wedding, Elena and Maya stood on the same Hamptons estate, this time for a different occasion, a vow renewal ceremony they'd organized for their own commitment. It wasn't a legal wedding, not yet, but a celebration of their love, surrounded by friends, chosen family, and to Elena's astonishment, Claire. The estate looked different now, stripped of its pretentious grandeur and filled with warmth. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees, and Elena's murals adorned the garden walls, bursts of color telling stories of love and resilience. Elena wore a flowing white dress, her hair woven with flowers, while Maya, ever the nonconformist, chose a tailored suit that made Elena's heart skip. Their guests were a mix of Boston artists, Maya's gym clients, and a few brave souls from their extended family, including James, who'd come out as gay months earlier, inspired by their courage. Claire's presence was the biggest surprise. She'd arrived quietly, no fanfare, her usual power suit replaced by a soft blue dress. She approached Elena before the ceremony, her expression tentative. "I wasn't sure you'd want me here," she said. "But I wanted to be part of this." Elena's throat tightened. "You're my sister, Claire. Of course I want you here." The ceremony was simple, heartfelt. Elena and Maya stood under an arch of wildflowers, their vows a tapestry of promises and memories. "You taught me to be brave," Elena said, her voice breaking as she looked at Maya. "You showed me that love is worth fighting for." Maya's eyes glistened. "You're my home, Elena. Always will be." As they exchanged rings, the crowd erupted in cheers, but Elena's eyes found Claire's. Her sister was crying, a quiet, unguarded moment that spoke volumes. After the ceremony, Claire pulled Elena aside. "I was wrong," she said, her voice raw. "About you, about Maya, about everything. I spent so long trying to control my world I forgot how to feel it. You reminded me." Elena hugged her, the weight of years dissolving in that embrace. "We've got time, Claire. We'll figure it out together. The evening unfolded with laughter, dancing, and stories. Claire stayed, mingling with Elena's friends, even sharing a dance with Maya, who teased her about her stiff moves. It wasn't perfect, there were still awkward moments, old wounds that ached, but it was progress. Claire was trying, and that was enough. As the night ended, Elena and Maya stood on the estate's balcony, watching the stars. "We did this," Elena whispered, her head resting on Maya's shoulder. "We showed them love wins." Maya kissed her, her lips warm and sure. "We showed ourselves too." The journey hadn't been easy. The wedding, the speech, the slow rebuilding of a bond with Clarite had all tested Elena's strength. But standing here, surrounded by love, she knew every moment had been worth it. She'd come to Claire's wedding expecting humiliation and left with her head high. Now she'd created her own moment, not to prove anything to Claire, but to celebrate the life she and Maya had built. Claire approached, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "To you both," she said, raising her glass. "And to family however we define it." They clinked glasses, the sound ringing out in the night. Elena looked at Maya, at Claire, at the life they were weaving together. The world wasn't perfect, and neither were they. But they were here, unapologetic and whole. And that changed everything.